A minor.
Cold Rice Media.
Watch out now. Watch out now.
People.
Let's spark it off real quick. We're back. What's Good podcast? Got your boy Raymond Acosta with his co-host Judah the Shooter. You already know what we're talking about today. I've been talking about this on the pod. I've been talking about this on my IG. And so I decided to bring on, one of my OGs on this podcast situation here, and I was like, "Hey, man, we got to talk. I need to kind of release because I got pulled into this thing from my kids. I was off it for a minute. I was like, you know what? I'm down here in Texas. Let's listen to some Morgan Wallen. Let's listen to some '80s freestyle music. Everything was nice and chill, but then all of a sudden my kids was like, "Did you hear that there is this drop of Drake and Kendrick?" And I was like, "Hold up, man, they're doing this? Hold on, Drake." But yeah, what's good, bro? It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. It's good to be back.
But you're in that's the one thing about Seattle, just the West Coast. They love the culture. We love our hip hop. We love our rap. We love our battles. Yeah. I mean, we feed off that. And this is one of those things that we had to kind of like slowly grow into just because we really didn't know. If I was still in Seattle, I'd be like, I don't know if K-Dot's going to come out for this because he's been in the dungeons. He's been kind of just chilling with the fam and everything like that. So I didn't know what the heck was going on until here we go. So what was it like up there? It's like, as far as like this whole thing, I know we're a little late. Yeah. I wanted to wait until all this stuff kind of finished off. I didn't want to dissect and like break down bars or anything like that. That's not what it's about. Yeah. I just wanted to talk about it.
No, man, like everybody in my group chats, all the homies were talking about it. I kind of dabbled in it a little bit, listened to a few of the, the back and forth that was going on. But it didn't really catch my attention really till like I started really listening to it. I was like, oh man, and all the stuff that was leaking out about who was saying what, and then bringing up stuff about their family. And man, it was just nuts, man. Like,
it got crazy.
I was like, crazy. Getting juicy. I kind of want to know what's going on.
At first it was like jokes, petty. Then all of a sudden, what? What'd you say? It was like, oh, hold on. And there's points where it was like, oh man, they're gonna throw hands. I don't know what's gonna happen here. They better just get in the ring, get some of that Jake Paul undercard money, and just get this thing going. But then it just kept going, and now here we are.
Throw 'em on there.
I'd like to see that. I don't know. Drake's probably got a good 50 pounds on K-Dot, but you never know. Right?
Yeah, I think he'd be in the gym. He got trainers and shit. So, whenever that beef come around, but, I'm glad it's not getting too serious. But, I think it was like last week I heard about Drake's mansion and his security guard and all that BS going on. And it's like stuff that's happening in London, I believe, when they're like tagging at the shops and stuff like that. Yeah, I think the fans the fans are getting into it, and it's I don't know what's gonna go.
The stands are going. I mean, you got these guys just in their studios, their booths, just riling it up. Yeah, it was good. It was a good run. I liked it mainly because it kind of put me back in, and I liked it because they were rapping. Cats don't, the top 10 billboards are usually like, you got your. I guess we can still call them mumble rappers, but then at the same time, it's like it's accepted now. But it's kind of that, it's kind of just the bop-ish type of music. But then now we rapping again.
No, they
rapping again.
They're talking about all kinds of stuff. The cadence is there, the freestyles there. I mean, it's good for hip hop,
right? I would say so. The old heads, the OGs, the elders of hip hop are gonna be like, we can't do this because they old now. They're like 10, 15 years ahead of us, and they're like, we all about peace and community and joining together. But there's nothing wrong with a good old battle. Nah. There's nothing wrong with a good old battle, and this is exactly what it was. They've coined it the 2024 rap wars, and it's just getting started because you don't know what's going to happen next. You got some other cats jumping in. You got Game going straight. I mean, Game's always trying to go at somebody.
Game and Rick Ross, right? Is that what it is?
Game and Ross, right? It's like Game and Ross. Come on.
I think he was talking about him choking on a chicken or some shit, and I was just
Bro,
like,
and that's what it is. It's all punchline bullshit now. It's like as far as with them too. I don't want to hear nothing from Game. Game sat there and went at M, and then he's talking about he can beat him and all that stuff.
I
And
did
then
hear
all of a
about that.
sudden, and
Yeah.
then it's like, oh, and then he starts apologizing. I was like, come on, Game, get out of here. And plus Ross is like, come on, man. Ross just recently started getting bars.
Yeah, he's not. I don't think he's known as a real lyricist like that, where you could just come out guns blazing and taking people's head off and just naming names and stuff. Nah, he ain't that kind of rapper, man.
No. I mean, I without even thinking about it, I'd go for Game on that one. Although I could care less really, because now they just trying to. I mean, now you got Shaq having Shaq came out with a diss track against Shannon Sharp. Like everybody wants.
What? Everybody got beat.
Yeah,
it's about to be like it's about to be like COVID all over again. Might as well throw on the verses.
That's true. Oh yeah,
but verses was tight though.
But yeah, let's talk about this though. Let's just go through like just the order of releases of this thing, just because like I said, I started getting into it and I was like, hey, let's go back up. I know, and you and I were talking before this, like, yeah, there was beef beforehand. There was just little jabs because everybody just wants the crown. You know, for sure. Everybody wants that crown. I think the first time I caught wind, and when I was looking this thing up, it was when Kendrick hopped on Big Sean's track Control.
Yeah.
And he just started naming names. Mm-hmm. Right. And during that time, he talked about everybody on that. Everybody. He brought out Drake at the end. Cause I mean, K-Dot came in, I was like, yeah, I'm Compton. I want, the crown also. And I'm gonna come at everybody. And it's just like, he even called out J. Cole during that. That was it. That was it. And then after that, he made his records and it just kind of disappeared. But I don't know what the mindset and strategy with all that stuff. I really don't get into it. But at the same time, that's why we couldn't really have that momentum with him. Yeah. But when he was there, it's just like, yo.
Oh, he's there.
Like, he's there. It was him and Nipsey, West Coast.
West Coast, yeah.
That was it. West Coast. But then, rest in peace, Nipsey. So when did you start paying attention? Like what song?
Man, I can't. Man, when I really first caught wind of it was funny because like on a comedic point, everything I was seeing was like all cartoons and animation, and then there was this one where Drake was in the studio, and in the animation, Kendrick Lamar was sleeping, and I think it was Metro Boomin and who was it, Future, and it was like whispering in his ear, and then all of a sudden, Kendrick Lamar comes out and gets in the studio and just going in on what's the name of that song with Metro Boomin and Future?
The one like that.
Yeah, like that. Yeah,
like
I was
that,
just like, okay.
Like that.
Yeah, man, I was like, okay, he just woke him up.
So the first I took a look at the timeline of this thing. Mm-hmm. Basically, it escalated, started escalating, and like you said, and that like that, and then around that time also, people were talking about like, why is everybody going at Drake right now? It's like everybody wants that crown because I think they were like, you know what, it's gonna be a hot summer. They want to get those tracks out. They want to get their numbers up. I mean, you had J. Cole was up there, kind of talking about three goats in that, I forget, the 7-minute drill, which he ended up pulling back just because K-Dot, when I guess they had a conversation, was like, I don't know what happened in that conversation, but then J. Cole apologized to K-Dot and he pulled that whole thing. I mean, that's a weird move.
Yeah. He was just like, nah, you know what? Out of respect, and him being my homie and stuff like that, I'm gonna give him his flowers. And yeah, man, and he just
I don't know, man.
Gave up. Like he did that in front of everybody during the concert, I think, right? It's how he was like, I'm gonna apologize to my guy. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to take this any further.
That's some weird stuff, though. If you trying to say you're one of the goats, and if the one of the other goats comes at you and be like, pull that. What are you doing? Pull that. You don't really want none of this, or you don't want to be part of this triangle of a battle of what's coming. Yeah. And I think he kind of let him know what was up with K-Dot coming at him. So that kind of was a thing. But then, I mean, you had Metro going in, you had The Weeknd going in.
Everybody.
Everybody was going in on Drake. Like Ross did a little bit. Fucking Future did something.
It's so crazy, man. What Drake is doing right now, he's kind of being a little sussy.
Well, that ended up just kind of like, and that's kind of where we're at right now with him, right? But I was getting some bubble tea over at the Share Tea, and I heard I heard, and I finally, you know what? My boy texted me. He just Drake released another one. I was like, you know what? Let me go ahead and back up. Let me listen to push-ups.
Yeah.
Listen to push-ups. Not Kendrick, but Drake went at everybody. I thought he held his ground.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he definitely made it a point. So it was like, okay, here it is. If y'all want it, let's go ahead and let's see who's up. And I think at that point, people, like everybody else that was talking during that time, they were just kind of sitting back and okay, it's like a B-boy battle. Who's going in?
Mm-hmm.
Who's going in? And then here you go. It's like, Wind, from my understanding, Wind got caught to where K-Dot was actually in the studio and he was about to release a track, but then nothing happened. And that's when Drake made that AI song with Pac and Snoop, okay? Tailor Made, which basically was Pac. He used Pac's AI voice and Snoop's AI voice talking to Drake through his cadence, through his raps, saying, "What's up, nephew? Come at him." And just basically, he's like, "We pass the torch to you."
Yeah.
And
basically pumping him up, pumping himself up.
And just like, come on. Like, and your OGs are talking to you in this voice, and I'm sitting here, and it's a disrespect to him because it's Drake behind the lyrics, right? I said, but I think you had mentioned earlier that the Pac camp was coming after Drake on that one for some sort of a, like, not copyright, but just
I think just using his voice or whatever without permission, and because that's big. Anybody uses Tupac because he's a legend, of course.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna make some. It's gonna create a wave. Right.
Yeah, kicking your lyrics in Pac's voice too. I listened to it. Definitely was Pac's voice, but it was definitely Drake's style and cadence.
Yeah.
It was hard to bob to it. I mess with, it's a slow track. I don't know if you guys have heard it. It's called Tailor Made Freestyle. It's basically the reason why it was tailor made is because Kendrick decided to push back his release date for, it might have been Euphoria or it might have been another track he was going to release, but he pushed it back another week or so as far as response because he was making way for Taylor's release. Taylor Swift had a release of her album there. He didn't want to mess with that as far as the listening ear. He wanted to get the full attention, and I can dig that.
Mm-hmm.
But Drake went at him. It's like, that's a bitch move just because, if you're being called out and you're waiting for, you're on Taylor's schedule. Yeah, and we just listened to that like a little bit ago, right? What'd you think? We just listened to that a couple minutes ago.
Man, I mean, of course, I'm gonna just hearing Pac's voice. It's gonna spark interest, of course. You know what I'm saying? Because Tupac, like I said, is gonna create a wave. And then, I mean, it's kind of, I don't know, man. It's just kind of like some false shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't believe he went that route, creating an AI to pump him up, to just say, okay, here you go. Let me pass the torch down to you, and then go at it, go hard.
Your publicist, your whole camp, your manager. It's like, who said? It's like, you know what? This is a great idea. Let's use Pac's voice. You know what? Let's use Snoop's AI voice. Imagine being Snoop. He's still alive. He's in his living room like, hold up, what?
That ain't me. Yeah.
I can't get no money out of this.
If there's money to be made. I mean, to really think about it, like going back from like 2013 to now and kind of listen to like how Drake has always been cool with Kendrick, and giving him his flowers and saying, man, you're dope, man. I got no beef with you, man. You're on your shit. You're going to be the next one up. But I just felt like Kendrick had like this weird chip on his shoulder, man. Like, I don't know what it was. It might have been during the time where, I don't know what it was. It was where he lost Hip Hop Artist of the Year to Malcolm Moore, I think. And then from there was just a whole bunch of back and forth where the text messages happened. And yeah, man, it was just like a whole bunch of like side conversations about, that whole thing. Like, oh man, Kendrick, you hella deserve that. Even Macklemore was like, "Oh shit, I didn't even know we were gonna win, right?"
Yeah, that was all industry stuff though, and that's just what it is. I mean, I can't really say bad things about Mac because he's hometown, but at the same time, it's like we know what it is. But
what is hip hop though? I mean, I get it. He's there. He's made his presence and stuff like that. You're right. It is an industry kind of thing. He was up and coming. All right, wasn't he even up and coming? He was up on the rise, I should say.
He was.
Yeah, it was just timing for Kendrick Lamar, and it was kind of sucky for him that it went that way, and he felt like he got robbed and stuff like that. But then again, I think the year or two after they gave it back to Kendrick Lamar, but it was the BET Awards. You know what I mean? Like, how much does that?
Come on.
Yeah, how much is that really gonna stand? You know,
you already know that Mac was the he's the lesser of he's the lesser loose cannon, right?
yeah,
Because Kendrick was, I mean, he's political. You
he
know,
was being
he's
hella political
he's
that
very
time.
political. He's very,
Mm-hmm.
you know, he's movement, and
Mm-hmm.
he was Pac.
Yeah,
You know,
oh,
he
for
was
real.
Pac. He was
Mm-hmm.
out there, and they started seeing him. It's like, yo, this guy's got a lot of power. Because when he gets behind that mic, and the way,
Man,
like, how much energy and how much like passion he has coming through it with.
just listening to Kendrick Lamar, I was like, man, he's filthy, dog. He got that knowledge behind the shit. It's just not like spitting all kinds of shit just to make music. Because I mean, to me, what Drake is doing right now, he's very out there. I mean, he's very relevant. You know what I'm saying? From like singing, acting, whatever he's doing, from gambling, and all this little shit that's happening with coloring his hair, is whatever the hell he's doing.
I can
He's
go with
making
that.
himself know. You know what I'm saying? So. And where Kendrick Lamar is coming from, like that's like some real shit to me. I mean, that's hip hop, right?
That's pencil to pen. That he's like got one of the like Pulitzer Prize winner.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what he won that for, but I just know he won it. I've a Pulitzer Prize winner. That means you got crazy pen, bro. As a hip hop artist, crazy pen. So the first track that Kendrick put out, and everybody was talking about, Euphoria, 6-minute track. That's when he started kind of like he set the warning. He put the warning out there. He was punchlining. I mean, when I first listened to it, I was like, yo, that's like the first part of the song where he was sitting there just like typical Kendrick with his pen to where it's like double, triple, quadruple entendres on it. The first part of that track. And then when he finally said Drake during that part, and he kind of like, for me, like he dumbed it down a little bit till it was straight up forward, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I sat there and I was like,
a lot of subliminal messaging shit. It's like, is he even talking about?
Oh yeah.
I mean, of course he's talking about Drake. You know, I mean, for people who are not following it, they're gonna be like, oh shit, it's just like it's just music to them, right? But when they like just drilling that in, Drake, fuck this is for you. You know, so like, oh shit.
That beat change in that song changed it for me when I knew he was actually real at that stuff. But he was still jabbing. And he's like he started. That's when the angles started coming. He started calling Drake, you know, like, does he even like women? And the funniest part of the track is he goes, when I see you stand by sexy red, I believe you see two bad bitches. I was like, oh, I stopped it. I was like, oh my God, he just said that. And I think he goes, I believe you don't like women, that something about competition, you might pop ass with them. And I'm like, oh my God. And I was like, that's kind of true. That was funny. That was hilarious. So that was it. That was Euphoria. He came out hard. 6-minute rebuttal and kind of just threw the gauntlet down. That was that was on April 30th. Kendrick also threw out that angle to where he was like, am I battling AI or ghostwriters?
Yeah, yep. I was just gonna say that about the ghostwriter.
And that's, I mean, at that point you're setting the tone to where it's like, if I'm battling this guy and you're already planting that seed to everybody else that's going to listen to whatever Drake comes back out with, what is it really? Because you know I'm in the booth. You know I'm pen to pen. But now, mind you, in other albums that Kendrick has thrown out there, there's been writer credits, but I don't know what writer credits really allude to, right? But there's been a lot of receipts and proof that, I mean, there's been cats out there that said, you know, Drake need to pay me because I was the ones behind back to back. I think it was what? Daylight. Daylight is a battle rapper, and he came out around like early 2000 teens, right? And he came out with a few tracks just calling out Drake and saying, I wrote this. I don't care about the limelight. Just cut me the check. So that set up the tone to where it's like, okay, whatever Drake comes up with next, we have to really pay attention to exactly what he's saying. And also at the back of your head, you're like, is he writing this thing? Is it on him? But then 616 in LA came out. I don't know if you heard that one. That was the one with when it was a short track. I think it was a 3-minute track. Kendrick came out with it, and that's when he started dropping stuff out there to where he alluded to, have you ever thought that OVO works for me? Like that's when the mole situation.
Yeah, that's when they were trying to get to it. It was like, okay, yeah, I got people in your camp telling me what you're doing and stuff like that, and it just goes on to like a whole bunch of petty stuff after that.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of been the thing with Drake. It's like, a lot of people, like, they don't want to say it. He's got a huge camp. He's got a lot of cats on his payroll, but not everybody's really, they like that check. I don't know if they like the dude. 616 in LA, I think that was the lesser of the that was the least remembered for me, but that was kind of just the one that was like, you know what, I'm gonna go in on you pretty deep here. That's when, so that was released on the 3rd, because the 3rd was crazy, because 616 in LA came out, and then Family Matters came out later on that evening.
Family Matters. That's when they were just striking.
That was a problem. Drake came out and he went in, and it was boppy. It was hard. He went. I mean, there was 2 tones of him. What'd you think of that? It was like when you guys started. That's when cats really started paying attention. Euphoria kind of tickled.
Yeah.
People didn't pay attention as hard. There were some bars in there, and there was some real stuff in there. But I think Family Matters had people paying attention and had people going in. It was like, let me listen what this fool said before this.
Yeah. It's because he started to talk about like what's really going on in their personal life. You know what I'm saying? Like him beating his wife or whatever, and not being true. And like, just like this whole beef is like, okay, let me just expose you for who you really are type shit. That's also people, people love the gossip. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, I got to listen to this shit. Like, let's see what he got next.
And that's also when he said Day Free was Kendrick's BD. Kendrick's son's BD. Right?
Yeah. So it wasn't his kid, yeah.
It wasn't his kid. He alluded to that. I mean, somebody gave him some info on that. I'm hearing some stuff that came out like within the past couple of days from the mole in that particular camp that, that stuff was really all made up. But at the same time, it's just during that time, that heat, it was like, ooh, hold up. We got a little bit of skeletons here. He was basically, Day Free, if you guys don't know, is basically K-Dot's childhood friend. They went to high school together. They basically came up. He was actually, Day Free was the one that had introduced, I forget what the label's name was, but he basically introduced just Top Dog Records or something like that. He introduced K-Dot's music to him, and then that's how K-Dot started getting a little bit more limelight. And at that point, they then broke free from that, and then they made him and K-Dot did their own thing with Katie Lang Records. So that's the thing. It's like, started talking about, why is he commenting on your baby mama's IG and you're not even, friended with her or something like that. So there was some definitely some shots in there. Started bringing the family in, and then like less than an hour later, it went.
You get a response.
Meet the Grams, and that bro. I actually just listened to Meet the Grams on, because I was just sitting there trying to catch up to all this stuff, and I was like, I'm not really trying to have this thing take over me. I'm like, I've got ADHD, man. Meet the Grams, you heard it. That one hit for me as far as just, that one hit the most as far as if I was on Drake's end, on either end, that was super creative to me. I mean, I understand. So Taylor Made kind of was like that, to where Drake used his heroes like Pac and Snoop, his elders, his OGs, as the voice of Drake dissing him, basically, right? But Meet the Grams hit the little different, bro. That's when I was thinking, I was like, yeah, Drake's gotta call him out and catch some hands off this. Yeah, he was talking to his son.
Yeah,
it's like Dear Adonis, and I was like, oh, hold up, Dear Adonis.
It was just like, hey, directly to him. It's like, your dad's a piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? Like,
imagine that,
work
bro.
on his music over being a good dad. I was like, damn, just like talking about his career and shit was more.
Had a baby to hide a baby to hide a baby, and I'm like, had a kid to hide a kid, and I was like, whoa. And imagine that's like, if you listen to that, it's like, if your sons, if you're in the game, and let's say you and I were beefing, and I started rapping too, so it's like, we're like, oh, I know you'd feel a certain way.
I'm gonna text you on the side. What the fuck, bro?
Like, bro, this ain't it. Like, hold on.
The script, man. Stick to the script. Man. I gotta stick to the script.
Ain't no script. Ain't no script with Kendrick. He told him it's like your dad's a pedophile and he shouldn't, that you're a king, and talking about like don't skip and take the shortcuts with the don't get with the Brazilians and that Ozempic shit. And I'm like,
yeah, the Ozempics.
Oh boy, with receipts, bro, with receipts on that 616 in LA. That picture with receipts, and I'm like, okay. And then that next verse to his moms, to Drake's moms, like, you raised a horrible person, and like this and that, and to his pops, it was like, he's using you to get into the black culture, basically by by reuniting with you to like make him legit, because I mean his mom's is right, so he was never really, he wanted that clout, he wanted that that side, so he ended up making peace, and he got to that, and
that was dope. How
industry
wide, like how they he went at it and delivered it. How he just went after the son, the mom, and talked about the dad. I was like, oh shit, and just talked about his character and all that stuff. It's like, oh man, like Kendrick Lamar knows some shit about this guy.
Oh, and the 11-year-old daughter, and I mean that's one of those things that, I mean, Drake said that that was a plant, that was basically a plant type of a thing, but then there's gonna be, if they really wanted to dig deeper in this, I mean, in the internet world, I think that can easily be debunked or actually proven, but I don't know if it's even worth it to go down that road, because then you'll then have to deal with that 11 loser's 11-year-old daughter, because now you have to, if she really does exist, but that came out of nowhere.
I think he did respond on social media or something like that, or he had a post or something about.
That's a problem, man. Social, you gonna put heart emojis?
Yeah. So I don't know. When I saw that, I was like, "Is that real though? Is it really?
What you think?
Is that the truth?" Man, I don't know anymore. It's like with all that stuff that's going on, and what I'm hearing is like, as far as this, it could be a plant, it could lead to something else, but we'll see in the next couple of months or something like that.
Yeah.
Drake was like, "Okay, here you go. Shit."
I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I think on both sides there's lies, and I think the lies cancel each other out. I highly doubt that David Free is Kendrick's son's baby daddy, Kendrick's that dad, and I doubt it. And we'll just go ahead and call that kind of a wash, as low blow lies, just for content purposes and just for rhyme purposes, bar purposes. But it hits, but it doesn't take away from the rest of that track.
Right. Like you said, if you were coming at me like that, I'm like, bro, come on, man, for real. Now we got to say I got another kid out there. How do you know that? Nobody's supposed to know that. Imagine being Adonis though. Like, imagine being that kid and you going to school or even like just amongst your friends, and you already know it's like, yo, your dad is battling Kendrick, and it's, let's see who wins. And then Kendrick came at him at this level to where it's praising him, then calling his dad a piece of shit, that I hate him, he should die, and all this stuff. And it's like, imagine being that. I don't even know how old he is now. He's probably in his teens, right? It's like, how you feel? Like Adonis?
That's is he?
Man, I feel like he's still a kid, man. I feel like he's like at least 10 or 11.
Imagine that, bro.
He's still young, yeah.
This is gonna go down.
This battle at all. He's like, I'm pretty sure when he does understand and listen to it, because music, once you put that out, you're basically immortal. You know what I'm saying? That thing's gonna be forever.
It is. It's archived.
Taking it down. Yep.
This is gonna go down. And Meet the Grams is probably one of the I would put Meet the Grams up there as one of the more, like, it was very, very creative, methodic, thought out, and thoughtful. Wait, he mentioned, what's his name? Epstein. He put him in the same line as Epstein. That's when, I mean, there's no turning back at that point. When you call something, that's like one of the worst things that, if not the worst thing you can call somebody, next to a racist or something. But then that's even worse, bro. Pedo.
That's a big claim right there. Just putting somebody out there. There's no coming back from that.
There's no coming back. There's we ain't friends no more. It's like, forget about it. We ain't friends no more. I mean, I mean, there's no doubt Drake is huge, and that's why I think like back then when a bunch of shows back, we were doing top 5 like Mount Rushmore of hip hop, and we put ours up there, right? Like just like not our favorites, but just like who should be there, who we believe. I personally put Drake up there just because during that time, like what he did in rap, not just like in entertainment, in rap during that time with all the bangers and all like his catalog, just you couldn't keep him off. But now it's like I don't know if I want a Predator up there. I want a Predator.
Not this great team music, bruh. But I think we caught you there. I think I exposed you.
Okay,
you're top 5, man. I might have to go back to the bottom.
We're gonna have to detonate that. We're gonna have to detonate that face. I know there's still room on the right side to put another one up there. Okay, so Meet the Grams. That one was different. That one was different. And then of course, I mean, I think it was the nail in the coffin. It was just basically that was the gut shot. He sat there, kicked. It was the gut shot, got him down on the ground. Not like us. Basically, it was. In my opinion, it was the stomp out. It was the bop. The clubs were dancing to it, bro. The graduations are dancing to it. You have weddings dancing to it. Everybody's dancing to this thing, bro. And it was released on that same day as Meet the Grams. Okay. So the problem with that, hold on. It was on the 4th of March, right? Or May, excuse me.
May. Yep.
Okay, repeat this. That was a Saturday. Okay. That was a Saturday. As soon as that thing dropped, it played in the clubs. Everybody was jamming to that thing. Everybody was dancing to it. Everybody was probably like, it brought out LA. It brought out Cali. That was a song. And I saw a couple things on a couple shows to where it's like, it really united Cali because he called out, he said, I'm from Compton. This is my space. This is my people's. You use Pac. I mean, it's like the Bay would never let you get away with that.
Yeah.
By using Pac's voice on AI and even Snoop, but then Snoop's more Compton side, but then Oakland might be your last show. And then he was talking about and he just basically said, Cali stand up. And Cali just united at that point. Yeah. And you know how Seattle and Washington, we rock with Cali. And I don't know, we don't rock with Toronto. We don't rock with, and then Kendrick destroyed him to the point where by saying, that particular side by putting it all out there and also by taking Atlanta away. He took out his legs with Atlanta, basically called him out, talking about he was a colonizer rather than a colleague in Atlanta by using these guys. He used Future, he used 21, he used a few other ones. And it escapes me right now, but he basically cut that leg off. It was basically whenever you need to balance your check, you go down there. And so he is basically saying you use them. You basically are just using them for clout. And I think I'm going back to what you had said a little bit earlier, as far as, he brought Drake, tried to bring Kendrick and brought Kendrick along with him. I think he was using them for that clout also. So the reason why I said that the reason why I brought up it was on a Saturday night is because it was so methodic that everybody was already rocking with that. It was already the kind of just the nail in the coffin. And at that point, Heart Part 6 was released later on later on that day on the 5th, which is on that Sunday. Heart Part 6 by Drake. That the only thing I was looking for in that, I didn't care about the 11-year-old daughter, mainly because I didn't feel like there was no credence to that and everything like that. But you got to talk about this pedophile stuff. Yeah. You got to talk about it. Like, how are you going to respond? Okay. It's like, and the way he responded, the whole, like, I'm too famous for this. I'm too famous for what you have suggested. If I really did, I would have already been caught. And it's just like, everybody was like, that's the wrong thing to say. I mean, Ross came up and it was like, yo, you're because he was forced his hand to come out with something. And I think they rushed it. And that's when Ross said, hey, your ghostwriters didn't think this through. Because that's not the line to respond with. He had maybe 2 or 3 lines in there to respond to that, and no, this song should have been about, hey, unless you got like receipts, you ain't talking to me like that. And so I just don't think. I thought that was the biggest L in a response, especially if this guy just came out with a song 2 songs ago, talking to your son, telling him how much of a bad father you are, talking to your moms, telling her that you're this predator, you're this pedophile.
Yeah. That
and
you're
it's just
this
like
horrible ass person,
horrible
who
person.
fucking raised you.
And your response, if I called you that, and your response is, I'm too rich for that. I'm too famous.
You guys would have already known shit. I'd be out there. But no,
Like,
I don't know.
if I was fucking young girls, I promise I would have been arrested. Promise I would have been like, I mean, come on, man. We know too many. I mean, the whole Epstein thing was going down. It's like, well, he was arrested, but I don't think he's dead. But anyways,
yeah. I don't think he's dead.
I don't think he's dead. But anyways, that's a different podcast. But yeah, so that basically were all the releases, and at that point, we haven't heard anything else. And so I think, and a lot of people were saying that a lot of these people that dissect this thing is like when they listened to Drake on that last one, they felt that he was a little lethargic.
Yeah.
It really wasn't his delivery. It was rushed. It wasn't thought through, but he needed to respond because you had almost back to back from K-Dot. And that was it. I mean, it's just like, what else you got? What else you got? So we haven't really heard from Drake since, other than like heart emojis. Let's just go straight at it. Who do you think got this? Just as far as battle wise, okay? Not even like, just like for you.
The whole hip hop, battle wise, lyricists, beats, and everything, man, I gotta give it to K-Dot, bro. Just man, he just spitting nothing but facts. He's coming at him. He's not holding back his words. He's just doing him. You know what I'm saying? Like if we go back to his history and stuff like that, his whole what do you call that? His albums and stuff.
Yeah, discography.
You already know. Yep. And you know what he brings, man. He didn't fall short at all. He came in the only way he knows how to come in. Fucking guns blazing.
He finessed it so well. So I just was thinking about this, and like, am I even wrong by saying this wasn't even close? I mean, in my opinion, and the way I see it, there were so many levels in how he beat him. Okay, it was like bar for bar. You can, if you're a Drake stan, if you're a Kendrick stan, we can't sway you away from that. Bar for bar, you're gonna prefer this and that delivery. Again, I could care less about the puberty. That puberty delivery that K-Dot got. That's one thing that kind of is like, let's fast forward to the next track where he's talking. That just is not my thing. And I do like. I like Drake's punchline. I like the levels. I like the bars in there. It is bar heavy. Yeah. But I was thinking, I was like, the thing. It's like what made me walk away. Like from each track and from this whole thing, I felt like I walked away with more of K-Dot's punchlines and his bars to where it resonated more. I mean, it's just, there was some stuff that was like, hey, you really still need to address this Predator stuff. And that one track, that one line I told you about, like him and Sexy Red standing together. Like there was such more memorable stuff, bro. Memorable stuff.
Yeah.
To where it was like, it was just typical. I don't think Drake went above and beyond with the bars to where, although there were some really heavy bars in there, but it was all for me. It was just bar done. And then you kind of just like, oh, that was a cool ass bar. But once K-Dot threw out some bars in there, it hit. It was a gut punch every single time. It was like, oh my God.
No, definitely was for sure.
Can't believe he just said that. It's like, oh yeah. And
then Drake kind of tried to go the same direction as K-Dot did and stuff like that. I'll talk about like, his family, the petty stuff. Yeah. But I mean, what can you do? You're playing defense the whole time. You got this guy that's posting you down, backing you up, says I'm about to score on you and finish you off. And like you said, when he said Cali stand up, man, it just shut the shit down. You know what I'm saying? West Coast, this is our home, man. We own this shit.
He's not like us. They not like us. And us is all subjective, just mainly because it's like, it's us. It's like them and us. It's like, it's at this point, there was a point where it was kind of like good versus evil, because, you're sitting there calling this guy out as a predator and he's not really coming out to protect himself, to protect himself from those words and come back to where it's like, this is kind of good versus evil. But and also at the same time, I mean, West Coast, we ride. And when we find a reason to unify, And that's the whole thing when Pac, just that one line, when I fuck your bitch, you fat motherfucker. And it was like, and everybody was like, and they just started throwing it up. It was over. And then when you came out with this, and that's also another thing I'm gonna say about this. K-Dot was and his team were so methodic in the releases, to where it was just like, in the timing. The timing was like, I'm gonna push this back 1 week. I'm gonna do it towards the weekend. And when I'm gonna do it towards the weekdays, I'm gonna finesse you with Euphoria, in the beginning of Euphoria, with my pen, with my Pulitzer Prize. I can't even say that. Pulitzer Prize winning pen. And then he went hard towards the end of that. 616, he started throwing receipts at 616 in LA. Family Matters comes out. He canceled that. Within less than an hour, he canceled that with the grams and just took out his heart. And then at that point, Not Like Us, that club banger, he beat Drake in his own game with a club banger. That's one thing that people always said about K-Dot. I was like, we can't dance to this music. Nah. It's like, he doesn't have the bop.
Unless he's featured with somebody and like Riri and all them stuff. You know what I mean? Kendrick Lamar does this shit though, but
crazy.
And Not Like Us. I mean, it speaks a lot. Where
was this for hip hop?
Now, was it for hip hop? Kendrick Lamar was for hip hop.
Was this good for hip hop?
It was good for hip hop. Saying just to get everything going, start a little beef. Look, everybody wanted to hop on and start their own beef, like you're saying, Rick Ross versus the gang.
Ross and gang.
Who else is out there? And then Metro Boomin was like, "Yeah, you could just use my beats for
BBL jersey." Oh,
yeah, you know what I'm saying? All that shit.
They just went against. So many people hate Drake, man. Like the industry, like a lot of those guys, they just do not like him because he has, there's a lot of like underlying stuff. He put a lot of cats on. He put a lot of cats on. You can't really hate him for that, but at the same time, he's obviously done something to these people that makes them feel that certain way, right? So
right,
very interesting. So good for hip hop, yeah.
Good for hip hop.
I think so.
Yeah, for sure.
I think so.
I think everybody agrees too that it was good for hip hop.
I hope so.
I think we needed it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, it wasn't a distraction. It was just like, okay, because you can't discredit Drake at all though, because he's still out there. He's still doing his thing. But this whole battle is just like I said, you gotta give the crown to the king. You
mess with the wrong one, bro.
Yeah,
you mess with the wrong one, bro.
Yeah,
this guy eats. He's not that's the thing with K-Dot. He's not buddy. That's the thing with Cole. That's why like Drake and Cole got together, and you really didn't think whatever battle was going to go up, it would have been punchy or would have been like indirect, nothing super personal. But you mess with the wrong one with K-Dot this guy, he called you a pedophile, bro. Oh my goodness. And he talked to your son and told your son, it's like, he's a pedophile. I'll be your mentor.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. And all Drake had in return was like short jokes. Short jokes, bro. We're talking about third grade.
Yeah. If you can't come back after that, you might as well just hang it up and be like, okay, he's filthy. I can't respond. There's nothing I could do but maybe come out with another club banger.
Do you think? Imagine him in his mansion with his camp, and he's listening to all this, and he's getting wrecked, right? And he knows it, and he's sitting there trying to get a record. And what is he feeling? He's getting his whatever's next.
Yeah,
has got to be so strategic.
Yeah,
where it's got to erase all this stuff, but he's sitting there like just feeling it hard, bro. So much drugs is probably being used in that room just to forget all about this.
Smoking blunts after blunts, passing the bottle around.
At the very least, bro, this guy is still probably in bed, hurting. Oh my!
But then, if I was Drake, to think about it, for him, like he's probably like, man, I'm rich, I'm successful, I don't really care. That's just like an escape kind of excuse. It's like I don't even care anymore, man. I got the money, I got the fame, I got the people, I got everything behind me. So this is probably the nail in the coffin for this beef. So we probably won't hear anything anymore.
Yeah. I'm wondering what his next move is. What would be the proper? It's not going to be his next move. It's whatever his handlers. His handlers gonna be like, how are we going to salvage this dude? It's like, does he come out with another song, or does he just move on and maybe bowing down, because at this point, tell you what, I think that would be the best move. Other than going back at Kendrick, because Kendrick still got, I mean, so there's this dude Cooley Bravo. He's supposed to be like, one of Kendrick's right hand man. He's supposedly the mole. He's actually he was talking about in recent interviews that Drake's camp came at him and wanted to get some dirt on Kendrick. Offered him 150. And he said, and he was like, he offered him 150, and he was just like, give me another 50. He just got interviewed recently. I don't know. I mean, you take it for a grain of salt. I don't know this guy for nothing. I'm just saying his name, and supposedly he's like, he's childhood friends with Kendrick. And so, and he said 150. It's like, yeah. So he took that money and he said, had another 50, and I'll tell you exactly where he is right now. And he just sold them Wolf tickets.
Yeah.
Sold them. He took their money, sold them all Wolf tickets, and told them about all the that David Freeze stuff with the baby daddy stuff, right? So that's why I said, you know what, that's a wash. Fine, we won't do the 11-year-old daughter. We won't do the David Freeze, and that's why I eliminated that. So Twitter and TikTok are all over him, man. I saw there was that thing with Millie Bobby Brown. There was that thing.
Yeah, I was just reading that actually.
Yeah, Billie Eilish. There was this girl. He was kissing up on Kylie at her Sweet 16.
Oh man.
And then there's this Bella Harris. There's this this girl that was Bella Harris. She was the one that he ended up renting out a 5-star restaurant, bought it out just to take her out on her 18th birthday. Yeah. And it was like, fine, she's legal, but at the same time,
they were like talking and being friends while she was like 14 16, or 16, 14, right? Yeah. And then right when she turned 18, or any of them turned 18, he'll come and swoop them up, slide into DMs and stuff like that. And he tried to do that with with Kendrick's baby mama, right? He tried to slide in her DM through social media also. I wouldn't put it past him. I don't know. She too old for him. She's too old for him. That's true.
Drake likes them youngins, man.
Damn, he do. R. Kelly out here, dog.
He's what, like 37?
I don't know how old he is, but he's still too old to be doing that shit. All I know.
Well, why is he I hang out with younger cats, but then like you're like 10 years younger than me. But at the same time, we're like, you're still in your 30s and we kick it. I'm not hanging out with like just his vibe, right? Yeah. So I don't know, but I can't even say that either. I was gonna say to each his own, because that ain't even right.
Not to each his own. No.
I was like, whatever you rich people want to do. But no,
man. Weirdos, bro. No, man. That's that Hollywood shit.
Very, very entertaining.
Very entertaining.
It still has my my attention. I want more music though.
Yeah.
I want more music. Forget all this like Twitter and people coming out. It's like, oh, I got receipts. I don't. You know what?
That's the thing with social media and the world we live in right now. So now everybody got their 2 cents into this. But if you appreciate the music and what they did in the last couple of weeks or so, man, it was, like you said, was it good for hip hop? I think so.
Yeah, because they rapping again. I want, and it's only, and mind you, I really don't care about this Game and Rick Ross thing. They're not even. I mean, Game got bars, but whatever. It's like I want to see what J. Cole says. I want to see what J. Cole says. If he just says it on the side, he's probably got respect. Because you really can't go for you can't go for that GOAT status no more, because you bowed down, and that means
you backed up. You let everybody know during the concert. Kendrick's my boy, man. Respect. It was stupid for us to even have this beef argument or whatever he was saying. Like, hey, man, you're basically out of it right now. So
yeah, you're done. Yeah, you're done. Yeah. You gave that up. You
better go find somebody else to beef with, but it can't be Kendrick Lamar anymore. Yeah,
bro, it's a different, like, the whole Pac and Big, and like even like LL Cool J, Kumo D, M, and whatever that was with MGK and all these other little beefs. Like if the whole Pac and Big thing was during social media time, I think it would have been much more. I mean, I think that's still the biggest beef, the biggest, because it's coasts, it's West Coast, East Coast. It sparked it, right?
East Coast, West Coast. Yeah.
Yeah, way bigger than the Nas and Jay, but this one is pretty. It's up there, and I'm glad it happened. In my opinion, I'm glad it happened. It got my attention back to hip hop. at least in rap, and I'm glad they're rapping again. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good way to end it, bro. I really appreciate you joining me because I know I told you there's really not a lot of cast that can chop it up with me and with the West Coast guys about this thing, and I do enjoy the conversation. We'll get on another pod again. We'll figure something out. All right.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, brother. Peace.
All right, y'all. Peace out.
Cold Rice Media.